I just got done interviewing Levi Matthew, an agency owner who took his agency from 0 to 50K a month in roofing, one of the most saturated, competitive industries right now. And he's one of the most copied agency owners when it comes to fulfilling for their clients. So many people love stealing ideas from him. So I have the privilege and the treatment of having an interview with him so that you can steal his ideas and actually see how he scaled his agency to 50K a month. Levi, I'm so excited to be speaking with you. What's funny is we actually talked a year ago, if you remember, with Yimin and Connor on there as well. And I think you're
hmm
around 5 to 10K a month. And I'm
Yeah.
excited to kind of almost do a transformation and compare what you said about certain things on that call to a year later where you're at with your agency, which why don't you actually go ahead and introduce yourself and your agency where you're at right now?
Sure. So, if you don't already know, my name is Levi, and I've been in the agency space for a couple years now. Around a year ago, I just switched from whatever niche I was doing beforehand to roofing, and I just seen my first little bit of success, like 5, 10K, like Marques said. And since then, it's been a journey. I went from 10K back down to 2K for a little bit, and then fixed that, and then now in June, just before I turned 20, I hit 50K at 19, which was pretty cool. And then now we kind of built some systems back up so I can now consistently hit that, and we'll see what we can do to get to 100.
Dude, that's an amazing journey that a lot of people don't get to say they did it at in their teens. Probably as like we're talking single digits. That's amazing, man. So let's get straight into it. You mentioned you had this role. You don't even remember the niche you were in. That's so funny. Prior to roofing. But you got to 10K. Let's start there, just the journey side of it. What
Mhm.
got you from, you know, starting out in the new niche to 10K? Like what were like the couple of key takeaways, key things that got you to hitting 10K for the first time?
Yeah, of course. Um, Getting to 10K in that new niche actually only took me 3 months from getting into the niche to actually hitting it, because of the skills that I built in the previous niche. I think it was remodeling or something. And then you had done a really great job of kind of breaking down it into setting appointments, closing appointments, and then fulfillment. And I had just figured out, myself and Connor at the time, who we did that last podcast with, we were actually on a call helping me with cold email at that time. And that cold email system that we were building a year ago was like my first ever set of like consistent appointments that were coming in separate of me doing any work. So
Mm.
I would set up instantly. I had appointments coming through, and I then got the chance to learn how to better sell and actually close a lot of these roofers who actually had the money to support what I was doing. And then from there, I took the money that I closed, because I was honestly like capping on these sales calls. Like I didn't necessarily know how to fulfill, but they definitely saw the conviction I had in myself. And then I took all of the money that I got from those initial, I think my first ever close in roofing was like a $500 setup fee, and then like $1,000 retainer like a day or two later. And then I took that money and I gave it to a few different people for them to like give me the roofing fulfillment sauce.
Mhm.
And from there, I actually started getting good results. Like my first ever client in roofing, he closed the deal on the first day of ads going live and ended up covering the entire expense for everything in like 12 hours. And then after that, I had a bunch of conviction. I reinvested into getting more emails, and I got better at sales. I raised my retainer from a $500 setup to a 1K, and then 1,500, and then 2,200, and then I was able to get to 13K in September.
Man, that's amazing. That's so yeah, there's a lot of foundations you built from the prior niche. I think it's home remodeling. We'll just start say that.
Mhm.
And you had the conviction, the sales, and then you're able to allocate that to someone who knows how to fulfill. Was it like a white label or media buyer, or someone taught you?
Yeah, I just paid for consulting. They taught me.
Consulting, and you did it
Mhm.
yourself. Okay, great,
Mhm.
even better. That's great, man. And so that's how you got to 10K. Now, fast forward a bit, the part I didn't know until you said it 2 minutes ago, what got you back down to 2K?
I thought money was gonna make me happy, and I thought 10K was gonna change my life, and it didn't at all. At the time, I had basically no money from when I like left that other niche. I had dropped out of school to go to like a community college from where I was going, and I had a little bit of money left over from a car that I had sold, and I essentially gave all of that money to I like sold my car to buy Agency Lab,
Yep.
and then I was able to use that. And I really didn't have anything. So I was like, okay, more money is gonna one, get me a car again. I'm gonna be able to move. My laptop screen didn't work. It only worked when I was on a monitor. And I didn't really like know anybody else in the agency space. Like, okay, maybe I could travel to go see people. Um, so I pushed really, really hard. I made the money. I got like a new beater car that barely worked, but I could get to the gym now. And I got a new laptop and a couple other things. And then after that, it just didn't like it didn't feel good. It's like, okay, I can do these things now, but it didn't change my life. Like I don't feel better. I still have to do the same thing tomorrow. Like there's no like beneficial because in roofing as well, around this time of year, if you don't have good client success, because I didn't even know what client success was at the time, your clients are going to leave you. So they just started leaving because they don't work at this time of year. They kind of take this time of the year off. So it went from having those clients, and then one by one, it went from like 12K down to 6K to 4K to 2K. And that like lowest point was in like November. And I just like I had no idea what my why was, and I didn't know what was going on. And that like November was when we were at an agency event
Yeah,
last year, and everyone's doing big numbers and everyone's
I was gonna say.
congratulating me for hitting 13K. And everyone's like, good job, you're killing it. And I was not killing it. I didn't know what was going on at all. But yeah, that's kind of what happened after 13.
Man, that is a story. I know part of the reason could have been just seasonal, you know how it is. It's a seasonal niche.
Mhm.
But yeah, there was a lot going into it, and that setback it can it feel in the moment it feels terrible. I know that feeling. It is not the best feeling. Um, but you got out of it. But you got out of it. You kind of share the story of, okay, we're at this point. Clients leaving around this time. I get it. How did you maneuver around it? And why didn't you switch again? Why didn't you switch after knowing that?
I didn't switch again because I knew there was like money to be made. I had made people a lot of money. The turnaround was really quick and they could process a lot of deals, and the niche was proven. Like the niche was already saturated. There's already other people doing well. I should be able to do well. In my previous niche, there weren't really anybody else seeing success. So I knew it was possible. I just kind of realized that I had like some sort of limiting belief that I couldn't close from ads because any deal I had ever closed prior was from
Email,
cold email,
emails, yeah.
which are generally warmer prospects from what I remembered at the time, or maybe it was just something internally. And so I had to get over being able to close from ads. But at that time, I realized like I got to 10K, but I didn't have a plan after that. And I realized that all of these bigger agency owners, they have a plan that they're actually putting in place and executing on to actually consistently scale, which I didn't have at all.
Hmm.
So I was in like, it was like that December, I was again like 2 or 3K. I might have even dipped below 2K, which is crazy, like December, because I remember I wanted to buy my family gifts at that time because I thought I was going to be making it because I was making 10K, but I wasn't and I couldn't do it. So I kind of sat down and really kind of created a plan with the goal of getting from like 2K to 100K in 6 months. So from December to June, that was my goal. Obviously, I only got to 50, but that's still kind of
But
what
yeah,
happened there. So I started, launched ads, got better at sales, and then the rest kind of happened from there.
Nathan would love to hear that. I launched ads, got better at sales, and the rest happened. Like
Mm-hmm.
you make it sound so simple. I love it. And it is simple. It's so hard in motion and doing it day to day, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what man, that's man, that adversity really makes any agency owner, anyone, especially at your age, much stronger. What is the number one lesson you would give to someone I'm not saying age matters, but we're both Gen Zs in our generation. What's like the biggest thing you can share to someone, whether they are already starting an agency, they're not getting beyond 10K, or maybe they're having troubles even just getting started? What would be your advice to them?
I think if somebody was starting, there's a couple, like at least for me, because like I've fallen off multiple times.
Hmm.
The two like biggest things that helped me were one, kind of changing my identity around
Hmm.
to like someone who like deserved the money and actually acting in accordance. And then two, just realizing that it was way more simple than it actually is. Like Nathan's correct. It's just get appointments and close them. And if you can't afford ads, get a job to get ads. It's way easier than cold calling. I tried it. Um, and it's really simple. If you can get appointments, get better at sales, and then just use that money to pay to learn fulfillment, like you have the entire agency already. And then you can just pay to get to the next step from there.
What made you different? I just came to my mind. What made you different than the other, established roofing agencies at the time? Was it the offer you were running? Was it something you said on the calls? Something you're doing?
Something that made me different, one, nobody at that time was investing in fulfillment. Whereas I did. So I had better fulfillment than almost everyone else by like 2 or 3x the amount of actual appointments and deals that they would close. So I had conviction. I didn't really know sales. It was more so just conviction in myself and the product. So I wasn't overcomplicating any sort of Jeremy Minor tactics that I might have seen on a reel. It was more so like, okay, I'm going to have a conversation. If these people seem like they need it, I'm going to show them just what I'm actively doing. And I would pull up ad accounts and I would pull up like the success that my current clients were having. And I was able to show that to them. And it made a very, very easy sale. I guess that was what was different about me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you didn't come at it with a background of like, okay, follow a certain process. It was more genuine. It was more consultative, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Do you find this
Mm-hmm.
helpful? And chances are they will say, heck yeah, I need something like that. So I honestly think you did yourself a service by doing that, and selling yourself and selling what is true. Um, yeah, I had a friend, I won't say his name, but it was one of my favorite things he said. I was like, "What's your number one tip in sales?" And I like the guy; he's good at sales. He was like, "The number one tip of
Mm-hmm.
being sales is not being salesy." I was like, "Ah, like touche," and I think that's resonating with what you're saying. So, dude, amazing story. What is new? Like, what's the goal for you right now? I have two more last questions that I like closing out for agencies. Where do you
Mm-hmm.
feel like, and I say this intentionally the way I say it, what do you feel like you should be by the end of 2025? Where do you feel like you should be with your agency? Not only that, but your life too.
End of 2025.
Did I say that? End of 2024.
Okay. I was gonna say I have no idea. End of 2024. I just want consistent recurring. I don't really care as much about revenue. Like it's cool. I like it, but after I hit 50K, I turned 20. I knew I could like take a step back the next month, do almost nothing and make 30K. It was
Mm,
great. Really enjoyed that. And I think if I can just get to consistent recurring and just focus on like building the roles within my team to act how they should, that'll be cool. So end of 2024, I need a setter that I can really rely on, consistent lead flow. Fulfillment is still doing their thing, and then we're just consistently adding 10, 20K, probably 30K, new recurring every month from there. So probably like 60 to 80K in that range in a year.
very practical answer. I love it. That's Nathan will be again proud to hear that. What my last question is, and I kind of finish it out. You know how podcasts are. They have their little style of I call it
Yeah.
lessons for less failure. What is the number one lesson, very similar to the one we talked about for the Gen Zs or people getting started, whatever. What's the number one lesson you would give to yourself right now, or you wish you did when you started?
Number one lesson I would give to myself is don't try and do this for free. There's a lot of free information on YouTube, and a lot of it's really great. Marques has dropped a lot of crazy value on his channel. A lot of my friends have dropped a lot of value on their channels. But if you can have someone to just like show you the path in a really easy way, it's easier. Not only that, being able to pay for ads instead of doing outreach, that would have saved me so much time. Because I, like a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people who starting this had done things before to make money, whether it was like reselling shoes or just having multiple jobs, or I was like a janitor at one point. Like I was doing like whatever I could to bring in money. And if I just from the jump, I spent that money for the right coaching and the right acquisition and the right training, I would probably be at like 100, 200K right now. Um, so it's probably not the answer most beginners want because I know I didn't want to spend money, but it's probably what helps me the most.
Absolutely. Yeah, the pattern just really fast. It's like you said, if you can't spend money on ads, get a job. Because it's a resource. It leverages. It's a leverage.
Hmm.
Maybe in the start, sure, do a couple of things with your own time and energy, especially if you're young. You can do DMing, you can do emailing, you can do
Hmm.
cold calling. That's what you did. But it also helps when you can get a job, make the money to spend it and make more money back. So that's a great lesson, and also not being afraid of investing into a coach. So, dude, that's amazing, man. I hope in a year from now we get to do this as a part three, and kind of talk to you about when you're at
Yeah, it'll
100K.
be cool to see where we are in a year. That'll be fun.
Awesome. Well, Levi, appreciate it, very much so. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be inspired and just starting to see you in your journey. I mean, I'm gonna leave a link to your
Cool.
Instagram if people want to connect with you. That's cool, as well as the other Levi a year ago on my YouTube, so people can watch that
Oh
and be,
yeah,
holy
go
sm-.
watch that.
Awesome. All right. Appreciate you, Levi.
Yes, sir.